how your touch was so tender, it told me you cared. We had a once in a lifetime, but I just couldn't see it until it was gone. Second once in a lifetime, maybe too much to ask, but I swear from now on, if ever you're in my arms again, this time I'll love you much better. If ever you're in my arms again, this time I'll hold you forever. This time will never end. Now I'm seeing clearly how I still need you near me. I still love you so. There's something between us that won't ever leave us. There's no letting go. We had a once in a lifetime, but I just didn't know it till my life fell apart. A second once in a lifetime isn't too much to ask, 'cause I swear from the heart, if ever you're in my arms again, this time I'll love you much better. If ever you're in my arms again, this time I'll hold you forever. This time will never end. Never end. The best of romances deserve second chances. I'll get to you somehow, 'cause I promise now, if ever you're in my arms again, this time I'll love you much better. If ever you're in my arms again, this time I'll hold you forever. This time will never end. If ever you're in my arms again, this time I'll love you much better. If ever you're in my arms again, this time I'll hold you forever. This time will never end. If ever you're in my arms again, this time I'll love you much better. If ever you're in my arms again, this time I'll hold you Hearts go astray, leaving her when they go.
Lock us in and you'll never stop singing along. We're Magic 92.5 WGHQ.
See the pyramids along the Nile. Watch the sunrise on a tropic isle. Just remember, darling, all the while you belong to me. See the marketplace in old Algiers. Send me photographs and souvenirs. But remember, when a dream appears, you belong to me. I'll be so alone without you. Maybe you'll be lonesome too, and blue. Fly the ocean in a silver plane. Watch the jungle when it's wet with rain. Just remember till you're home again. You belong to me.
Did I ever tell you how you live in me? Every waking moment, even in my dreams. And if all this talk is crazy and you don't know what I mean, does it really matter? Just as long as I believe I will love again. Though my heart is breaking, I will love again. Stronger than before. I will love again. Even if it takes a lifetime to get over you. Heaven only knows. I will love again. People never tell you the way they truly feel. I would die for you gladly if I knew it was for real. So if all this talk sounds crazy and the words don't come out right, does it really matter? If it gets me through this night, I will love again. Though my heart is breaking, I will love again. Stronger than before. I will love again. Even if it takes a lifetime to get over you. Heaven only knows.
Thanks for starting your day with Magic 92.5 WGHQ.
Good morning.
One month ago today, I was happy as a lark. But now I go for walks, to the movies, maybe to the park. I have a seat on the same old bench to watch the children play. You know, tomorrow is their future. But for me, just another day. They all gather around me. They seem to know my name. We laugh, tell a few jokes, but it still doesn't ease my pain. I know I can't hide from a memory, though day after day I've tried. I keep saying she'll be back, but today again I've lied.
Oh, I see her face everywhere I go, on the street and even at the picture show. Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Oh, I hear her voice as the cold winds blow in the sweet music on my radio. Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? you seen her? Why, oh, why did she have to leave and go away? Oh, yeah. Oh, I've been used to having someone to lean on, and I'm lost. Baby, I'm lost. Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her?
As another day comes to an end, I'm looking for a letter or something, anything that she would send. With all the people I know, I'm still a lonely man. You know, it's funny. I thought I had her in the palm of my hand.
Tell me, have you seen her?
Oh, yeah. Have you seen her? Have you seen her?
Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Have you seen her?
Here at Magic 92.5 WGHQ, we're connected to the local communities of Northern Ulster and Northern Dutchess counties. We keep you updated with news headlines and AccuWeather forecasts all day, on the air and on our website, WGHQ.FM. Also on our website, we have an extensive calendar of upcoming events being presented by local towns and nonprofit organizations and groups. Find out what's happening and get connected to your neighborhood by visiting the community calendar page at WGHQ.FM. If your nonprofit group or organization has an upcoming event, you can add it to the community calendar at WGHQ.FM. Magic 92.5 WGHQ, connecting our communities.
Dicing's Bakery, the next best thing to home.
Dicing's Bakery is ready to celebrate Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Get traditional round challah breads, either plain or with raisins, or plain or chocolate Jewish babkas. Hey, you don't have to be Jewish to enjoy these lovely treats. Dicing's also has coconut macaroons and rugula cookies. And Dicing's delicious torts are now available for a limited time only. Dicing's will be closed on Labor Day, so orders need to be placed now to be picked up Sunday, September 5th. The fall season at Dicing's also features pumpkin cake, apple cider donuts, apple crisp, apple strudel, and apple cupcakes, plus pumpkin mousse pies, candy and caramel apples, and more. Dicing's is proud to serve the Hudson Valley at 109 North Front Street in Uptown Kingston. Happy Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur from the Dicing family and staff. Dicing's has been baking memories for your family since 1965. Call 845-338-7505.
Dicing's Bakery, the next best thing to home.
Hey, New York. Win 4 numbers and take 5 from the New York Lottery are all drawn twice daily, so you can spend more time with your numbers. All kinds of numbers. Like 7 for the number of spikes on the Statue of Liberty's head. Or 11 for the number of Finger Lakes. Or 0, the number of times you hike the Adirondacks barefoot. Ouch! Spend more time with your numbers. Play twice daily games from the New York Lottery for a chance to win. You must be 18 years or older to purchase a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly.
We've heard a lot about heroes recently. Here at Anderson Center for Autism, we thank each one of them, especially those who work with us daily to optimize the quality of life for people with autism. We're in awe of their courage and commitment. It's time to publicly applaud their good work. Join us in expressing our collective gratitude by making a donation in their honor at andersoncenterforautism.org/donate. It will mean the world to them, just as they mean the world to us.
You've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. You have to carefully monitor your health for the rest of your life. And you have an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease.
Cut. Take 2. Action.
You've been diagnosed with a new purpose, to fight for the amazing life you made for yourself. To look that risk of heart disease square in the face and say, no, not me. you've been given a new opportunity to live. Get started at NoDiabetesByHeart.org.
Magic 92.5 WGHQ. Great songs, magic memories.
Hot town, summer in the city, back of my neck getting dirt and gritty.
Next time I fall in love, I'll know better what to do. Still, I'm so lonely, and I guess there's just no getting over you.
You'll be in my heart, no matter what they say.
A fresh new mix every hour from Magic 92.5 WGHQ.
It's a long, long way from heaven to heartache. And that's a trip I never wanted to make. Since I've been gone, it just hasn't been the same. And I'm afraid I finally learned how a heart can break. I want you, I need you, I'll always be with you. I found out the hard way I can't do without you. I'll always be with you. I've been walking on the wrong side of the highway, waking up on the wrong side of town. But I could never find under any neon sign. Anyone that I love any more than you. I want you, I need you, I'll always be with you. I found out the hard way I can't do without you. I'll always be with you. At least now we both know I tried. I will be yours until I die. I want you, I need you, I'll always be with you. I found out the hard way I can't do without you. I'll always be with you. I need you, I'll always be with you. I found out the hard way I can't do without you. I want you, I need you, I'll always be with you.
Magic 92.5 WGHQ.
Find a wheel and it goes round, round, round as it skims along with the happy sound as it goes along the ground, ground, ground till it leads you to the one you love. Then your love will hold you round, round, round in your heart's a song with a brand new sound, and your head go spinning round, round, round 'cause you found what you've been dreaming of. In the night you see the oval moon going round and round in tune, and the ball of sun in the day makes a girl and boy wanna say, find the ring, and put it round, 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 and with ties so strong the two hearts are bound. Put it on, the one you found, 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 for you know that this is really love. Find a wheel, and it goes round, round, round as it skims along with a happy sound as it goes along the ground, ground, ground till it leads you to the one you love. Then your love, you hold her round, round, round in your heart's a song with a brand new sound, and your head go spinning round, round, round 'cause you found what you've been dreaming of. In the night you see the oval moon going round and round in tune, and the ball of sun in the day makes a girl and boy wanna say, find the ring, and put it round, 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 and with ties so strong your two hearts are bound. Put it on, the one you found, 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 for you know that this is really love. Find the ring, put it on, for you know that this is really love, really love, really love.
This is the Hudson Valley station for great songs and magic memories. 920 WGHQ AM Kingston and 92.5 W223CR FM Kingston, New York. We're streaming through our website, WGHQ.FM, and you can listen on your smart speaker when you say, play WGHQ from TuneIn. This is Magic 92.5 WGHQ with another hour of great songs and magic memories, starting right now.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
As a parent, your life is your child.
With Luke, he's the whole world, you know?
He was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and it just rips your heart out. You feel completely helpless.
But when you come to St. Jude, that is a whole nother level of care.
You have cutting-edge scientific research here, doctors at the top of their game, and there's nothing but love in everything that they do.
I asked my wife, I was like, what is this going to cost us? And then we did a little bit of research, and then we realized that no family ever receives a bill.
St. Jude covers the cost of everything so that we could focus on our family. St. Jude gave our family the chance to be together. They saved our son's life, and we did not pay a cent. And that wouldn't have been possible without St. Jude.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
All right, folks, we're on. This is Thunder Thursday. I'm happy to be here, and I know my partner who just
knocked over
the water
liquid
is happy here to be here today as well.
I am. Richard Catabiani here.
Tony Marmo.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah. Thank you for pinch hitting kind of last minute.
My pleasure, sir.
Greco under the weather a little bit, flooded in his basement. I don't know what happened last time.
He's canoeing around to be the operative word these days.
Yeah. How are you, Lawrence?
I'm good.
Good. Glad to hear.
Yeah. I wish Daniel Jones could, not throw an interception or get sacked, but,
Yeah, the Giants.
At Christmas will come early this year.
I'll tell you what, if the Giants pull their act together, it'll be a little surprising. Given
their offense is crappy, but their D looks really good. Though. That's the bright point of it all.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. September 12th, first game.
Yep, November. Yep, against the Broncos, 4:30.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. Well, now that there's a 17-game schedule, they're adding an extra game on it. And if you look now, I think the Super Bowl is falling where that Monday where President's Day is.
Oh, really?
So, now people don't have to, because usually sometimes you leave a Super Bowl party.
Right.
Sometimes the Super Bowl doesn't get over to 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
There's an hour halftime entertainment.
Yeah, so now you're saying it'll be a day off.
Right, now you're going to have a day off, So that's looking pretty good. Or at least
Super
that's
Bowl
the way it's lining up
festivities.
for this year.
So, Richard, how are you? How are things going?
Not too bad, Tony.
Yeah. What's
just we have members of our club, the Rotary Club of Kingston, who live in Rhode Island. Phil Masquelette, specifically, and telephone Phil when the hurricane started rolling in, and they got hit pretty hard. But it's really awful down in New York City.
Yeah.
And I saw some clips of the flooding in the subways, and it's like the clip you just showed me of that one of the club
Uganda.
In Uganda. I mean, I'm beginning to wonder: is it just going to be wet and dry?
No in between.
Droughts and rain. So it's really a little distressing.
This has been a pretty prolific hurricane season. I was sometimes when I heard the hurricane's name, it happens to be my mom's name, my mother, who passed away at a very young age, 49 years old, Ida, yeah. And I'm saying, she won't bring a whole lot of havoc. She brought some havoc.
Yeah, it really did.
Thanks, Mom. But no, it was down south. I think they got hit pretty hard. So I don't know. The world is kind of a crazy place.
Yeah, right. So we maybe you could tell the folks a little bit about shelter boxes, because I will tell you that our club just sent 2 shelter boxes down to Haiti, and we have 3 allocated. So we just kept
great. 1.
So we're wondering, New Orleans is in a bad way.
Yeah.
I know that the lights will come back on, but the notion of shelter box is really quite remarkable, and I know you know more about it.
Well, I mean, Shelter Box is a partner of Rotary. It's an independent organization, but it functions essentially as the first responder for Rotary, in any kind of international or at times national disasters. But primarily it's international. And the Shelter Box, a little bit of a misnomer. It's a tent that can sleep, I want to say up to 10. It's a pretty good-sized tent that, along with other kitchen utensils, shovels, the survival supplies really are all contained in this green and yellow shelter box. And so that's why they call it a shelter box. It's really a tent. But they're fairly easy to put up, with a little bit of instruction, but not bad. And, they allow families to have essentially a roof over their head and be able to cope with the disaster that's upon them. So our friend Jeffrey Cataract, who's been on this show actually, is now a board member of Shelterbox. She's former Excellent. Rotary International board member, is now a Shelterbox, and we should really have him call in at some point. I'm not sure if he's listening or not. He said I talked to him yesterday. And
so one of the things that I found remarkable in the shelter box is the engineering that goes into the portable stoves.
Oh,
the portable water kits.
Yep.
Everything is really compact and foldable, and it's very easy to just set up an oasis in a storm. I guess, in a manner of speaking, that's what they are. They just really are a lifeline. And I've seen photographs of hundreds of shelter boxes, tents, I should say, all set up in fields, and they are really quite remarkable. It almost reminds me of Hooverville. In the 30s when
all the tent cities
all over the world, not just in Washington D.C. But it really is quite a remarkable thing that shelter box is available to people, and that Rotary is instrumental in identifying and distributing them. And I think there it is, service above self on a grand scale.
I mean, they're $1,000, right? That's what we
pretty much
shelter box, and so not a ton of money, but not inexpensive either. And it's a lifesaver for people that have nothing. I mean, that everything has gotten swept away, especially in Haiti. So I'm not sure if they'll be used in the States, although New Orleans got hit pretty hard, as you're saying. But it's
So is it traditional that most shelter boxes are for international use?
Pretty much.
Oh, I see.
I think.
Okay. That's
because,
news
look,
to me.
Yeah, because the resources in this country are so much greater, right, than places like Haiti and Uganda or wherever they have disasters.
Right. The fact is that you're right. I didn't think of it that way.
But still, I mean, I don't know that we've used them or not for sure. But anyway, so. And your club is doing well?
Yeah, we inducted a new member, Elizabeth Betsy Massey, whose sponsor is Colleen Mountford, and she's a very active lady. She was also a participant in the Cap to Cap run when we did virtual.
Oh, great.
I know her husband Steve Massey. He was the.
I know Steve Massey.
He was the CEO, if you will, of the Veteran Services.
Yeah.
He's a retired Navy captain. His
Ulster County Director, Veteran Services.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
So it's very good. Yep.
Great guy.
And we're we're going to induct two more members, I should say, in the next month.
Sounds great.
And that's the plan.
Very good.
We'll see how it goes. We're also meeting virtually for the first time. I'm sorry, we were meeting in person for the first time. So we have 31 people in the club, excluding honorary members,
Right.
and we get about 15 to 16 every time we do have a meeting.
That's great.
Either virtually or in person. So I'm okay with that. We are meeting at Dysing's on Wednesday mornings. The second Wednesday of every month, we meet in the morning, a breakfast club, and then the second.
Jeff Cataract? Oh, great.
Okay, good. We have a call. This is excellent.
Jeffrey Cataract, how are you?
Hello, Anthony. How are you this morning?
Did he do something wrong, Jeffrey? When you call him Anthony, I'm wondering if he's in trouble.
I've never heard someone actually call him Anthony.
Yeah, usually that's true. That's the case. I get family members and dear close friends get to use that one, and usually it means it's Prince Spaghetti Day.
Yes, yes, it is.
All right, I'll lighten it up. Tony,
all right, thank
how the
you.
heck are you?
Thank you. We're doing good, Jeffrey. Thank you for calling in. Richard Catabiani is the president of the Kingston Rotary Club.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hey, hi. How are you? Thanks for all you do for our organization.
Appreciate it.
Yep. And we were talking about Shelter Box and how it gets deployed and how important and vital it is to the Haiti earthquake situation. Kingston Rotary just apparently sent two shelter boxes down there, or money for two. So we thought we would ask you, as you're on the Shelter Box Board of Directors, or Board of Trustees. I'm not sure exactly what the current title is. So tell us about Shelter Box and maybe what's going on in Haiti, and you can correct anything I just said.
I don't think we have that much time.
That's true.
So I'm on the board of directors of Shelter Box USA, which is an affiliate of the Shelter Box Trust in Cornwall, England, where Shelter Box originated 20 plus years ago. And we deploy emergency shelter, our famous Shelter Box, which consists of a tent and cooking utensils and water purification and all the things that folks would need to survive after losing everything that they've got after a disaster. And it could be, we've responded globally to earthquakes and typhoons and cyclones and hurricanes. And currently our focus is on Haiti, which had that 7.2 magnitude earthquake several weeks ago, folled by Tropical Storm Grace, which then came over the island. Haiti, as you know, is one of the poorest countries in the world. They had not yet even recovered from the earthquake in 2010.
Right.
So it's tough. We've deployed one of our emergency response teams to. They're now in the Dominican Republic, the other half of the island, and we're working with the Haitian government, our regional partners, and other organizations involved in the wider response to tie down the details of exactly where and how we should best target our aid.
Yeah.
So it's a logistical problem. It's a safety problem for our teams because, as you may know, some of the roads in and out of where we need to get to in Haiti have armed people on them that maybe don't have your best interests at heart.
Right.
And in Haiti, our shelter kits may be important because they have tarpaulins and corrugated metal and some of the things you might need to repair a home rather than a shelter box tent. So we're doing the best we can. As with any emergency, it seems as though we can never respond fast enough, and we're always learning and trying to respond as fast as we can, given the logistics involved, and especially in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, you mentioned the location is Port-au-Prince is the capital and major city. I think last time I know over 1 million people there, like 1.2. But the hurricane epicenter, the earthquake epicenter was about 80 miles, I'm going to say east, but I'm not sure that's correct, the geography down there. It's Haiti kind of runs parallel to our coast, I think, right? Was
that a trick question for me, or was that...
I'm tying my shoes now because I don't know the answer. I'm looking away.
I'm not prepared for a geography quiz today, but keep going. Dig the hole deeper.
No. So what I'm saying is, to your point of it's a rural area, Port-au-Prince is almost like New York City, only obviously not as big, but it's very densely populated. To your point of the rural nature of Haiti, where I go, Cap Haitian is on the north part of the island, and it's much less populated than the major cities. So logistically, that's what I'm kind of talking about, how to get there, how to provide those services.
Yeah, there are plenty of challenges, not the least of which is security. There are reports of aid being looted. Trucks being hijacked. The main seaport is in gang control. There have been some local kidnappings. And so, we've got to be careful with our teams.
Sure.
Because their safety is paramount to us when we deploy. Whatever, we've got to do the best that we can, and that's what we're trying to do. We're in constant connection with Habitat for Humanity and other partner organizations to see how we can leverage what we do with what they do. We've done that in other areas of the world also, but currently our focus is on Haiti.
Yeah, no U.S. military involvement down there, I don't think, right?
No, I haven't heard of any.
Yeah.
I don't think that. That's another quiz for another time. I'm not sure. I've not heard from our.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. I just curious. But when you say the security issues, it's a humanitarian effort, so you would think maybe we'd have our armed forces kind of trying to help what's going on there. If people want to donate or find out a little bit more about Shelterbox, Jeffrey, what's a website that they can go to?
Shelterbox USA. Just Google Shelterbox USA.
Okay.
And
great.
There are donate buttons there. Shelterboxusa.org. And I might also add that we had a meeting of our board last week, and of course now we've had Hurricane Ida, which not only devastated the Gulf area of our country, but we had here outside of Philadelphia, we had tornadoes popping up. We've had a lot of damage. Today our issue was flooding. Most of our rivers and creeks have flooded roadways, and Hurricane Ida continues to do its thing, even up in your area, New York City. I was watching on the news. So we're trying to understand. It's different, Anthony. I'm sorry, Tony. It's different in our country because we've got FEMA and we've got all kinds of response. People have flood insurance, and yet there are people that don't hit that safety net. And so we're trying to understand what is the best way, or is there a way that we can respond to Ida, which up and down the East Coast has just been devastating. So it's a never-ending battle for truth and justice.
Yeah, it's true. But Richard was asking about the amount of assistance provided by Shelterbox in the U.S. Per se, and my answer was
basically what you just said, Jeffrey. That we are lucky in quotes because we have other resources available to us. But as you said, some people fall through the cracks, falls off the trapeze, and we have to have a net. So I was curious, if Kingston Rotary should consider having some kind of box sent down to Louisiana, but I'm not quite sure. Has it been done before, Jeff? Have we given shelter box kits and shelter box tents locally, domestically?
Yeah, and if you look back to Houston, our response is different, though, Richard, in the U.S. And again, it's because of the magnitude of aid that we can throw at a disaster in the U.S. compared to less developed countries. Right. And so in Houston, for instance, and we're going to highlight this at the Rotary International Houston Convention next year, our deployment of tents was different because the tents were sometimes indoors, and sometimes they provided maybe a lactation tent, privacy for physicians who were taking care of people. And so the deployment of our tents was different. It wasn't necessarily for shelter for individuals, but rather for medical care and indoors. And so it's always different. I mean, we try to respond to the need at hand, which is sometimes different in the U.S. But we're taking a look now. I mean, we've got an ops team in England, and our ops team is, our emergency response teams are some of the best trained in the world. The people that apply to become a member of our emergency response team, only 1 in 100 make the grade.
Wow.
Anthony, that would mean you and I would be one of the 99.
That's a pretty elite group, huh? Yeah. 99 and a half.
But we've got some of the best trained response teams in the world. And so we deploy out of Cornwall, England. We don't deploy out of Shelterbox USA, but we have input into that, obviously. And we work closely with the board of trustees of Shelterbox Trust in Cornwall, England. We have affiliates, by the way, all over the world. I mean, Shelterbox USA is the largest affiliate, but we have affiliates in the Philippines, in India, Southeast Asia, and around the world.
What I just learned right now, Jeffrey and Anthony, is...
Thanks, Jeff.
It's okay. Hey, buddy. Jeff, I owe you one, man. It's going to be my mantra for the rest of my presidency. As Anthony will tell you. Well, what I just learned today is that the shelter box is very situational. So, for example, if I understood you correctly, it could be used for folks who are in great distress, but it also can be used as a center of communication for any kinds of medical treatment and or sort of a mothership, if you will, to help other people. Also, I was mentioning to, let me see, is it Anthony?
It's Anthony. How about Anthony?
I was mentioning to Anthony that the design of the tent, the box, for lack of a better word, is really ingenious. I mean, the compactness of the stove, the potable water equipment, the chairs, the just everything, sort of fold tab A over tab B back in the day, as you know what I mean. Yeah. And this thing just pops up, even with rain flies. So it's really quite a remarkable design. And I'm really happy to hear that it can be used on lots of levels. You were talking about the emergency response team. I mean, how many people, if you can given us an idea of, would it take to deliver, let's just go with a shelter box / shelter kit. How many people does it take on the ground to make that work? Since most of the people who they would be delivering to are probably in great trauma and would probably not be able to even assist.
Yeah, President Richard, now that we're going with formal names, Anthony and President Richard,
Great.
We depend on, well, number one, we were the first service partner of Rotary International. And we have a partnership agreement with Rotary International, and so we started it. Shelterbox started with the idea of a Rotarian and a Rotary Club in England. So we depend on Rotarians in wherever we deploy to help us with those boots on the ground delivery and setup. We depend on some of our partner organizations, governments. When we ship in, we have pre-positioned shelter box kits in warehouses around the world so that we can deploy quickly when we have to. And as I said before, it always seems as though it's never fast enough, but we have a process that we have to go through. We in order to be the most effective, we have a process that we need to go through in order to find out what is the need, where is the need, where can we be the most effective, how can we partner with government, local, other humanitarian organizations, whether they be religious organizations, other humanitarian organizations like Habitat for Humanity. And if you go onto our website, Shelterbox USA, you'll see that we now have multiple types of tents. We have the original one, which you talked about. We have smaller tents. We have shelter kits, which help people to rebuild structures. So we've diversified our product line, and we also diversify what's included in a shelter box depending on the area that we're deploying to.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I
That's
thought
very
it was just
good.
a one-size-fits-all, and that was it. But obviously, it's responding to what's out there and the disasters that have to be affected.
All of that protocol in a timely manner, too. So what I'm hearing is that the infrastructure within Shelterbox is really probably quite tight, that, things get communicated as to what's the need, where is the need, who can we partner with to make this as quick and as efficient as possible. It's an impressive, it's impressive,
It is.
just
It really
downright
is.
impressive.
And Jeffrey, thank you for, I know you were probably taking advantage of time to get some beauty sleep.
There's not enough time for that.
But thank you for responding to my text and jumping on the call this morning. Very informative, off the cuff, so to speak, impromptu, and you thank you for helping out folks about what Shelterbox is, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, we really do. And once again, I've learned a lot, and I'm even more committed to having the Rotary Club of Kingston involve ourselves more in the Shelterbox project. I haven't met you, Jeffrey, but I look forward to seeing you someday when we are at face-to-face Rotary events. So until then, take good care of yourself.
See him in Houston, if not before. I don't know. Maybe
thanks, Houston. President Richard. Thank you, Anthony. And Anthony, are you running to a break, or do I have time for one last comment?
One last comment. 7:30 break. Go ahead.
One of the things that Rotary clubs up here in the Northeast can do for Rotary clubs in the Gulf is talk to those clubs now. I've been trying to get in touch with the Golden Medal Club down in Louisiana. We responded after Katrina, as you know, Anthony, with 3 tractor trailer loads full of what they told us they needed.
Yep.
Most of the cell towers are down. We have not been able to make contact yet, but Rotary Club to Rotary Club, aside from Shelterbox, Rotary Club to Rotary Club, there are a lot of ways that we can respond down on the Gulf Coast. So there you go. President Richard, have a great day. Anthony,
thank you, sir.
Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
And
All the best.
send in my invoice for this.
I know I will pay eventually. All the best. Right. All the best.
Take
Thanks,
care of
Jeff.
yourself. Drive safely, Jeff.
Yep, be well. Thanks. All right. Well, that was kind of nice.
That was very informative, actually.
Yeah.
I'm happy
very
to
timely
say.
in terms of Lawrence. How are we doing on time?
We can go now, or we can talk for a few more minutes.
Okay.
I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, what do you want to do, Anthony?
Lawrence,
Anthony.
Well, Leanne calls me Anthony most of the time.
I have a friend that's named Tony C, and he actually prefers to be called Anthony, just like I prefer to be called Lawrence than Larry.
Yeah.
I'm not really a big fan of the Larry.
Mostly I use Tony because, I don't know, I've done
Everybody
that.
calls you Tony.
I know. And usually if it's Anthony, as I said, it's either close friends or folks, a family, or if I'm in deep doo-doo, I get the full name. But it's I guess Tony only because it was too hard to write out Anthony when I was younger. So
okay, well, as I told you, in most Brooklyn Italian families, in order to you had to be named after all the uncles, or else you'd be in trouble. So
grandfather, right?
Yeah.
The first male child in Italian family usually gets the grandfather's name,
right?
Which was Antonio.
Right.
So my dad and mom, gave me a little bit of a break with the Anthony American version. My dad's name was Pasquale, but he kind of Americanized that to Patrick.
Yes.
So everybody thought he was like Irish for a while.
And your mom's name was Ida?
Ida, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yep. So, so every time I hear Ida, it's not a common name, but I was talking to somebody saying, after hurricanes, usually babies start getting named.
Right.
It's like for some whatever reason.
In Florida, when I lived in Florida, they would come out from A to Z, every single name.
Yeah.
There'd be like a section in the Sun Sentinel of the hurricanes that are going to be named for the year. They have them all named out before the season even starts.
Yeah.
So,
that's unfortunate.
So if we're only an I, we got a long way to go.
Yeah, man. I hope.
Well, I hope we don't have to go through the alphabet much longer. This is really getting to be quite remarkable on many levels.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to come back with Elliot Auerbach. I think he's going to be calling in today.
Excellent.
Our deputy, New York State Deputy Comptroller, and we'll find out what the buzz is in Albany. That should be interesting.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Swimming pools are great for family fun, and Central Hudson wants you to play it safe. Never operate an electric appliance next to or in the pool. Be sure pool motors and filters are grounded. Have them installed by a professional and serviced by a licensed professional electrician. Be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a pool, especially if using long-handled cleaning tools. And if a storm is nearby, get out of the water. Your safety matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org, produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
Okay, we're back.
We're back on.
And I guess that was Elliot clearing his throat because I forgot to hit the cough button.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Thunder Thursday. Tony Marmo, my partner, had to leave the table for a second. He'll be right back. Right, exactly. Elliot Auerbach, New York State Deputy Comptroller, welcome to KCR, the marvelous Thunder Thursday. And it's been thundering, or at least raining a whole lot. How are you today?
I'm good. I don't know where you are, Tony, but it's sort of like a soggy Thursday here.
Soggy Thursday.
We're sort of wringing things out.
Yeah,
I see that the Hudson Valley was battered by probably 12 hours of rainfall. It looks like people are manning the lifeboats.
Yeah, we are building the Ark here in Kingston. So if you want to jump on board, we're welcome to have you. You need to pair yourself up with somebody, though.
Was there a lot of local flooding in the Kingston area?
I don't.
Yes. Good morning, Elliot. Richard here.
Richard Catabiani just joined in.
Yes,
Was there?
Yeah,
Okay.
the creek in where the farm hub is, where Jack Gill's old.
Oh yeah.
Old,
on 209 there.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Underwater,
and the water beneath the bridge that goes, the Jack Gill Bridge, is rather high.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's the creek is rising.
Yeah.
Hello, September.
Yeah.
An interesting way to start off the month, but I'm hoping everybody is well by all of you guys, and that things are smoothly transitioning to what we look like. It's going to be a beautiful autumn.
Well, we hope so. It's a beautiful day today, so I think it's going to be a good, weekend for Labor Day, and the Hooli is scheduled to be on Sunday. I think it starts at, I want to say, noon and ends at 9.
Yep.
And it's always a great time. So hopefully folks will come out and, masked or not, whatever your preference is. And so how is the weather up in Albany these days? The political weather up in Albany.
Nice segue.
As they say, the political winds have certainly shifted.
Yes.
It's interesting to see. I mean, Albany sort of has recharged itself, and I think that the leadership under Governor Hochul has created an energy that at least I haven't seen since my short tenure at the comptroller's office. It's wonderful to feel I'll call it the hum or the vibration of government that everybody feels is moving in the right direction. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I'm sensing too. I mean, there's a little bit of tentativeness about what direction, who's going to be in, who's not going to be in, who's going to be on the team, who's going to be off the team.
Right.
But I think, as any good CEO would do, you assess your players and your folks that are working for you in those department head positions, if you will, and you make the call. So looks like she's approaching it in a sound way.
Yep.
Well, that's correct, and I think an indication of her strong leadership is who she surrounds herself with, and as is evident by the most recent appointments that she's had, she's put some very competent key people into place. But you're right. I could vividly remember seeing the change of administration in Albany, and I'm gonna really throw myself back to the days of Mario Cuomo after he was leaving, and I watched a number of closets being emptied, drawers being emptied, and people just packing up and leaving. And I think you're going to see that too. I think you're going to see a shift in commissionerships and leaderships and appointments made by the governor. So It will be interesting to see who comes on board and what they bring along with them.
Yeah, I think so. I know there was a report in the Freeman today, Richard. We were talking about it before the show started about robust sales tax growth.
Yeah, the headline is. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Elliot.
No. Go ahead. I'm interested.
I'm reading from the Kingston Freeman. Comptroller's report shows robust sales tax growth, and 3 or 4 columns on it. Gasoline sales are specifically cited for the growth. But what's your take on all of this, sir?
Well, there's two words that I could describe that with right now. It's called "Oh Baby." I am going to tell you that you can see that people were braced to get out there and return back to normal. And sales tax is a great indication of that. We looked at the collections in July, and there was a 21% over the same month in 2020 increase. That's huge.
Yeah. And
not only was it huge with month over month when you compare it, but it also marked the 4th consecutive month that the collections have exceeded their 2020 numbers. So there's a consistency there as well. And what I love to see on a local level, and I saw that Comptroller Gallagher did this, she was able to then take what happened statewide and boil that down to the impact on Ulster County. And her recent report indicated how healthy sales tax collection was in the county as well as across the state. It's exciting to see. It also is an indication, again, that the economy has picked up. We're kind of hoping that it continues on. I think we may see a little stutter step with the Delta variant and what it's happening in some areas, but overall, I think it's going to stay strong.
So, Elliot, the last paragraph of the report simply says this: Gallagher said that surplus, and I quote now, should be used to benefit taxpayers and improve services, unquote. So, do you want to give us your idea of what improved services might mean, and how would they benefit what tax holders? Where would you what would you do, sir?
Wow,
that's a tough.
You're really painting me in a corner here.
Well, it's Anthony's fault. He invited me to pinch hit. He should have known better.
Right.
Well, I will say that it's exciting to know that the strength of this revenue will allow counties like Ulster County and the other 56 counties outside of the metropolitan area to really be able to right their ship, to have the money that they need to create the programs that are in demand on a county-by-county basis. And it's not the same when we go up to Western New York versus Central New York down to the Mid-Hudson Valley. What this is going to do for counties, and quite honestly, not just the counties, but recognize, at least in Ulster counties, with Ulster County, they share sales tax collection with the city of Kingston and the 20 towns in Ulster County. So everybody is going to have this benefit of increased revenue to help them do what needs to be done in their respective local governments. And look, that could be a laundry list of things. Everything from filling potholes to improving parks to lowering taxes. I mean, it's going to be dependent upon the needs of each local government.
Yeah, I think that's probably the answer, because everyone's needs vary generally. The show can't go by without mentioning unemployment or employment. The difficulties that businesses are having, restaurants primarily, closing or not having this section open or that section open. And so hopefully some of that money can be used towards drawing people out of the unemployment world, which I think is ending, Elliot. I don't know if you know about that for sure. The federal unemployment money, I think, ends this week. I could be wrong about that. It's either this week or next week. But, that's the biggest deterrent I see. Quite frankly, I'm surprised at some of those numbers for sales tax, but maybe it's internet related as well as you were saying gasoline.
Yeah, so the internet. Go ahead, Elliot.
Yep, go.
No, it is. We have really paid close attention to the impact of internet shopping, and that's something that really was not in place 2 years ago or 3 years ago when it came to the stewardship of sales tax collection and the use of the Internet itself. And you'll be surprised that in more of the remote areas that don't have the ability to have large big boxes or shopping centers out there at their front door, Internet sales tax has really skyrocketed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's, we know stores have been, even at the beginning of 21 still, and still hesitant to open doors and masks or no masks, what's going, usually masks. So people have been reluctant to be involved, but they have not been reluctant to, be on eBay and Amazon and any other, internet platform that you can buy stuff.
So one of the other, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tony.
So one of the other
interesting, you talked about how this revenue can help local governments, and I think you touched on an area that we seem to see struggling, and that is the hospitality industry, the restaurant industry. We also see the not-for-profits struggling as well.
Yes.
And, local governments need to be sensitive to really what's happening out their back door. The not-for-profits have kept their lights on and have been able to help people, and maybe it's time for local governments to consider helping them a little as well.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly, Elliot, because those services the need for those services don't stop, and in the pandemic, certainly you could argue that they were greater. Need was greater.
Right.
Richard, you were going to say.
So the need being, and I'm reading once again from the paper, I'll just say this from the Kingston Freeman. The beverage manufacturing industry increased, and I'm going to quiz you both. What percentage increase? What percentage of increase was the beverage industry? And you can read beverage any way you'd like.
Go ahead, Elliot.
What percentage of increase was it?
Yeah, the beverage increase.
Percentage of increase in the beverage industry.
The hint in that
in Ulster,
is the alcohol beverage industry.
Yes,
I'm going to say 33%.
Okay.
Well,
Elliot?
Look, I think they've all done well. I think that people have certainly probably spent little more money in the beverage industry. It's an indication of a couple of things. Number one, folks staying at home, and number two, just the sign of the times. So I'm sure the beverage industry was strong.
So how about 871%? 871%, or an increase of $49 million over the prior year, the largest percentage growth according to the report. I didn't know you could have 871% of anything, quite honestly.
No wonder why my son has a new car. He works for Southern Wine and Spirits, and he sells spirits and wine. You there, Elliot?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm there. I'm sort of like I'm amazed at the money that has been spent in the beverage industry. But I could tell you that there's a lot of smiling faces when it comes to as you said, Tony, distributors and seeing the business just pick up. And quite honestly, speaking to a few distributors, their challenge that they had with the demand, not having certain items that normally were in the flow to either liquor stores or bars, and having to substitute other items. I've heard that plight as well.
Yeah.
The irony is that I'm looking at the greatest, so you have gasoline and booze as being, I mean, call me old-fashioned, but I'm not thinking that's a good combination.
Yeah, good point.
As long as people are staying at home. Now look, let's stop a second and think about the gasoline tax for a second. It's predicated on the price of gasoline, and where has gasoline gone over the course of the last year?
Yeah, it's pretty significantly higher.
Have ticked up. So, again, we have to stop and say, okay, how is that how is that actually generated? Is it generated by more use, or is it generated by increased price?
Yeah, good point, Elliot.
Good qualification.
Yep. Can I ask about? Go ahead, please.
So, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say that I would much rather step back though and look at a report like this and see how well things are doing and how there's a sense of turning that corner. And this report and its previous reports are indicative of that.
Yeah, turning the corner is the name of the game. I do believe that people are very optimistic, even with the bad news of variants, that they are eager and willing to, take a step out and resume life as normal, so to speak. But it's tricky. It's very tricky.
Elliot, I'm curious about, how the rest of the state, and I know you have, you're traveling hither and yon, and how the rest of the state is doing and reacting. Similar, are you seeing similar stories of, sales tax growth? I mean, I know it might be a little bit early, but just what's your anecdotal feeling about what's happening in the rest of the state? New York City notwithstanding, I guess, because they're in their own world.
I think there's this optimism. I think you touched on it earlier, that people are ready to return back and get out. They'll be much more guarded, I believe, as they go back out. But I think folks are anxious to do that. It's interesting. I attended my first concert a couple of weeks ago at Bethel Woods in Sullivan County, and it was packed, and you could see, that people were just anxious to be out there and grab back the life that they had pre-COVID. That's not to say that there weren't masks and there wasn't social distancing and all of those other things that go along with it, because I think people are very conscious of that. Mm-hmm. And I think I think this Delta variant has again sharpened people's awareness of what they need to do to maintain their own personal health. So there's going to be this new return, but I think the return will be there. I know that I was connected with Syracuse yesterday as well as Buffalo, and both of those areas are vibrating, economically vibrating. They're anxious. Of course, a lot of that has to do with kids going back to school. A lot of that has to do with parents breathing a little easier, knowing that their children are not going to be in the house, and they're able to return. So there's this whole wave of feeling good, and I think it's going to happen across the state and be reflected again in how our economy is.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Yeah, it looks as if that the data that backs that up in this very same article I've been referring to is, and I quote again, likewise, restaurants and travel accommodations, both hard hit by the economic shutdown, saw sales tax revenue increases of 105% and nearly 400% respectively. This is good news.
Yeah,
this is good news.
But again, it's go ahead.
I'm going to tell you though where the struggle is, and Tony, you could probably appreciate this better than any of us. Is that it's finding the staff now. It's being able to get people comfortable to come back to work. It's being able to provide those services. Several of the restaurants that I've spoken to have had to limit their days open or limit the service that they provide just because of the staffing issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very curious to see what kind of response. We're starting to see some increased interest in returning to work, but we get 2 or 3 calls a week from businesses saying, we needed this, we needed that. I just got a call yesterday from a medical office saying, we need an on-call LPN or something like that, and I'm saying, forget that. There's nobody on call anywhere. We're just trying to get people back on the playing field. And I'm curious to see if the unemployment, once that ends, if people do return, school opens up, if people do return. I've mentioned this before, the biggest issue in the tourism and hospitality world is lack of seasonal workers from Eastern Europe, from South America that have not been able to get into the country. You go to a lot, places like Mohonk or different places. They're using. Typically, they've depended on international labor. And so that didn't happen this year. So we'll see how this plays out in the next few months as we approach, winter and the holidays, and so very curious.
Well, yeah. Look, and you can see just by some of the ads of the quote help wanted ads unquote. The signing bonuses that people are being offered, and because these industries, and I think you hit the nail on the head, are struggling. Without that
supplemental help
staff that they had.
Yep.
Yeah. So look, I'm feeling good about it though.
Yeah.
I think that across New York State, we're just seeing this wave of optimism. I believe a lot of it, and we don't realize this, or I sometimes we take it for granted. A lot of folks struggled because the schools were closed and they had to provide child care for their kids, and therefore couldn't go to work because they didn't have that child care. So it's this spiraling effect that has hit the economy that we're slowly pulling away from, which is exciting.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. What are you doing for fun these days?
So what am I doing for fun? Well, hiking, taking advantage of my, taking advantage of the beautiful area that we live in. Discovering places that I never knew existed right out my back door, so to speak. And that's been fun.
Great.
Watching, just traveling the state, watching just, the effects of summer and the lower impact of the virus, and seeing people just getting out and about. It's been exciting, but I will tell you this: I think that we will continue to see the wave of economy getting healthier. I think we will see people starting to, let me just say this, drop their temperature, so to speak, because they're feeling a little more relaxed, and I think it will have a positive effect across the board.
Yeah, and I think the Delta variant. We're seeing an increase in cases certainly across the state as well. But I think the boosters are on their way as well. It seems like they're coming out. So anyone who's very pro-vaccine is probably going to be doing this. And now that the FDA has put a stamp of approval on Pfizer, and I guess Moderna will be next, and J&J's come up with something too. So once the FDA stamps, maybe some of the folks that are the non-vax world will say, okay, well, the FDA's approved this, let's get going. So I think there's cause for optimism, although winter's coming and who knows. And the flu season is upon us.
Yeah.
Almost.
I will say, though, that during all of the difficulties of these times, I was really proud of the way our government in Ulster County handled everything. I mean, it really was leading edge, transparent, pretty clear. If you needed help, you could get it.
Boots on the ground, no pun intended.
Yes, if you chose to avail yourself. So I was just really proud of being a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I wholeheartedly appreciate what happened in Ulster County, how the county executive, almost on a daily basis, either via social media or an email, kept people up to date on how, on what was happening, how it was happening, where to get things, what to do. Those are the kind of things that you rely heavily on government on. And I look at it across the state, and I look at the local officials that are currently in office now. Most of these folks didn't sign up for this. They did not expect this to happen under their watch. And most of them, if not all of them, have pivoted very quickly to get their arms around it and help the people that they serve and represent. So kudos to County Executive Ryan. I'm a big fan of what he's done to date. I see that that he almost, I think it was yesterday, he was on again social media. Just talking to people and explaining what's going on and how it's going on and what's going to be done. The transparency is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. We agree.
Yeah, and the health care, the mental health care that is implicit in the fact that somebody has a good bedside manner, no arrogant attitudes, and or, as George Harrison once said in one of his great records, I, me, my, mine. You know, when you hear politicians basically going with I, me, my, mine, you know you're in you're in trouble. Whereas I never got that from Mr. Ryan.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
I love quoting the Beatles.
Well, it's
and I will leave you with my favorite Beatle quote, and I think it's attributed to John Lennon, and I often say this to elected representatives, and the quote is, "Life is what happens to you while you're making other plans."
Indeed.
And and again, going back on the elected officials that are serving throughout New York State, this is the life that's happened to them, and again, I can't say enough about how remarkable it's been for all of them to just embrace what they're faced with, make the necessary decisions, and let the public know what's happening. So that we could all be at least pleased about that.
Sounds good. Elliot Auerbach, New York State Deputy Comptroller, thank you for joining us today. Be safe in your travels. Our beautiful Empire State. You're seeing every nook and cranny of it. We thank you for your service and for promoting, good things out there. And stay well. Be safe.
Excelsior, Elliot. Excelsior.
Ever rising. Thank you. I'll speak
Thanks,
to you guys
man.
later.
Talk soon.
Take care of yourself.
Okay, Lawrence, let's go to break.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
As a parent, your life is your child.
With Luke, he's the whole world,
He was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and it just rips your heart out. You feel completely helpless.
But when you come to St. Jude, that is a whole nother level of care.
You have cutting-edge scientific research here, doctors at the top of their game, and there's nothing but love in everything that they do.
I asked my wife, I was like, what is this going to cost us? And then we did a little bit of research, and then we realized that no family ever receives a bill.
St. Jude covers the cost of everything so that we could focus on our family. St. Jude gave our family the chance to be together. They saved our son's life, and we did not pay a cent. And that wouldn't have been possible without St. Jude.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
To battle is to fight, to struggle, to overcome, and ultimately for the Marine Corps, it means to win. There is no alternative. It's not just a statement of intent. It's a promise to our nation. A promise kept for more than 2 centuries. A promise of the Marines.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Watch the flight saying we're not going. Okay, folks, we're back. This is Thunder Thursday.
Without the lightning.
Just a lot of rain.
Yes, indeed. How's that arc coming, gents?
Yeah, right. I have this screw gun out, and we're putting multiple screws in this thing. So this is Tony Marmo.
And Richard Catabiani.
And we're joined by our tremendous CEO, President, Czar, I'm going to call him William Calderera today.
And I must be in trouble.
Indeed. Since we're on formal first names, thank you, Jeffrey Catterett, for, now I have to rebrand myself.
I know.
I look like Tony Marmo since 1980. Now I'm Anthony Marmo. Lawrence, I don't know, what do I do with this? I need a rebrand.
I don't know. That's the first time I heard someone call you Anthony.
I know, man.
I've known you quite a while.
I know. I've worked hard in trying to keep my brand.
Only when he wasn't in trouble.
Which is kind of frequently. We're going to do birthdays, folks, and we'll have both of you participate in this. Have a couple of birthdays coming, or here, September 2nd. And so, go ahead, Bill. You can start.
Okay, so happy birthday to Rosemary Samuels from your friends at the Hurley Pearlers.
Okay. And Richard?
Well, a very happy birthday to Donna Spada from the Cruz family and friends.
Okay. Donna used to be a Mid-Hudson Federal Credit Union, Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Great.
I'm sure she's still there. But so, let's see. I can announce the winner of the delicious cow pie from Boyce Dairy Milk House, and thank you to the Boyce family for supporting this program for many, many years. They're located at 62 O'Neill Street. And if you haven't had a cow pie we're into moon pies now, apparently, in my office. Well, moon pie is like a little ice cream sandwich.
A little smaller one?
Yeah. So those things are pretty good, too. So the winner of the delicious cow pie for today, September 2nd, is, that would be Rosemary Samuels. Congratulations, Rosemary. Okay. Once upon a time, we used to sing happy birthday. We won't do that.
That's a blessing.
We actually did a pretty good job with it. Rich Matthews, Lou Kirshner, and I.
And where are they now, I add?
Well, those, right. Yeah, right. We had 3-part harmony going, actually no part harmony. So welcome, Bill. How are you?
Good. Very good. Thank you. Always excited to be here.
Couple months?
Yeah, I've been just running around a little busy, but I know John came in.
Did a great job.
Last month when he was away, and
but he is no Bill Calderera. Wasn't that a line in a presidential debate of some kind?
Right.
Oh yeah, I knew John Kennedy. You're no John
Kennedy.
Somebody to a Mr. Dan Quayle.
I think that was it. Yes.
Anyway, John's a great guy and a great community person for years. So what's happening at Ulster Savings Bank? Tell us.
Oh, we've been continuing to be busy. We're continuing with our 170th anniversary and our acts of kindness, so that's going very well. We've been doing a lot with Alex over at Home Plate Deli and delivering lunches to different businesses. Nice. We've continued in a number of different veins and done some different things. So we're having some fun with that.
So 3/4 of the year is pretty much done. Are you? What's 3/4 of 170? I don't know. Half is 85 and half of that is 37. So you have you've gone through 135 days or something like that.
Yeah. No, I think we were already over the 170 about mid.
Okay.
But before mid-year, we were done with that. But we're just going to keep going. So
okay, good. Yeah, could be 370 acts of kindness.
Whatever. We just our real goal here is hoping that people start to pay it forward. Right? It's a positive event. It's a great thing message for people to do, and a message, and really just to bring some humanity and kindness and joy, right, to people, which is really what it does. I know you both know from what you do with Rotary and that giving to others is really
where it's
joyful.
At.
So
where it's at, and that's how we combat all the hatred and the vitriol. Is that a good word, Richard?
It is
in the world out there. That's you look at the news and everything is in shambles of, social shambles.
I know if I knew Richard was the co-host today, I would have read the encyclopedia last night a couple of times just to get.
That's okay. I have a pocket copy right here. I'm happy to.
The guy's got the sharpest pencil I've ever seen in my life.
Well,
I mean, this is a weapon.
I was squirming for Elliot a couple of times.
So I'm going to get academic on both of you right now.
All right. So we give Uncle.
When Bill says, it's about humanity, kindness, and joy, and how you feel good about that. So one of the great Russian author, Tolstoy, said, "The gift belongs to the giver."
Yeah.
And I truly think that that's what we are as Rotarians. Mm-hmm. The gift is in our ability to help.
Absolutely.
End of quiz.
Yeah, and it's great. And we had Jeffrey Catterett on earlier, who's a board member, board of directors of Shelter Box.
I heard.
And he gave us a nice kind of impromptu update about how that Shelter Box works. And that's all about people helping people, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what we're here for, isn't it?
It
At
is.
the end of the day?
It is. And that's a wonderful program. It's been,
right.
It really, what they're able to put on the ground and how quickly they're able to respond all around the world.
Amazing.
Is amazing.
Amazing. So the economy, what's your sense about that?
It's interesting. It continues to. I heard you talk to him earlier, but it seems to be moving along well within the county. And I heard you reporting on the sales tax, which is up. I think a lot of that was from tax and from gasoline and also internet sales and different components of it. But there's local. Continue to and I know you know this, every business I talk to needs help.
Labor.
Just drive around and you'll see, I had
signs.
Dinner last night with a group and every one of them, wanted signs, they're talking about sign-ons and different pieces and where did the labor force go, and there's a lot of discussion around that. I think part of it is the unemployment, but I don't think that's the whole story.
No, I don't
I
either.
think we had a lot of people leave the workforce, we had, a good stock market, good investments, and the pandemic fears, and they just said it's time to exit, which is good for them, but all at one time makes it more difficult because people had put that off. If you realize a few years ago, markets were down and 401ks were down and investments and retirement funds were down, so people extended, I think, longer than they would have originally worked, some of them, and this is, not only did that group go, but the group that was next ready to go, I think I saw a number of 2 or 3 million people that exited the workforce from just retirement alone.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's true.
Demographically, you got to think about it too, are generations, right? So we had the baby boomer generation followed by the next generation, which was one of the smallest, and now the millennials. So there was that gap in the middle.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think we're feeling that gap in the middle a little bit too.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a perfect storm, right?
Good.
In terms of all the issues that are affecting why people are not working.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's not one single case.
No.
We're curious to see if, again, the unemployment ends, will a section of those folks come back to work now? The other thing that was tied to it, somebody was saying, was the eviction policy, but apparently that's going to be extended now, it seems like.
Yes.
And I'm, my feeling about that is if you actually get a job, you might be able to pay your rent. God forbid.
Yeah.
There's plenty of jobs around, at least in this mid-Hudson Valley, but I think it's all over the state and perhaps all over the country. I think I read where there were 9 million job openings.
Yeah.
9 million, right?
Yeah, it is all around the country.
So it's just not here. And so, with that, it should, maybe next year will be another record-breaking sales tax year if we can get folks back to work.
Yeah. Yeah. I really don't know what that perfect storm is. I think that's the exact analogy. And, when Bill said, where did the labor force go? I mean, honestly and truly, I belong to the baby boom generation. There are many more of us than anybody else. I think
the millennials caught us, actually.
Yeah,
I think they did.
They did?
There's like 73 or 4 million of those, of millennials, and there's like the baby boomers are maybe 70 million because we're going to the big Rotary Club in the sky,
of us.
So post 46 to 64, that age group is starting to give out a little bit.
I'm going to take a nap now. Is that okay,
guys? Right. So anyway, I think, but there's reason for optimism, I think. Some of the indicators moving in the good direction if we can get the labor force back. Real estate prices still a little crazy, right? I mean, stuff is rents are still
elevated. Yeah, and that's supply and demand, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's just pure.
Exactly. A lot of people looking.
Economics 101. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people looking for homes, a lot of people looking for apartments, and we didn't build them for a long period of time because we had a depressed real estate market. Right? So, it when it finally catches up until some of that supply starts to be built, then we're going to need to see, I think, if this continues, we're going to need to see some new developments start to come in, some new housing being built, which we're seeing from some areas, but not all the areas.
Yeah.
So above the fold in the Kingston Freeman today, gentlemen, it says, City plans rental protection law. Proposal seeks to prevent predatory rent hikes, unfair evictions. Can I hear something from both of you on that in terms of...
The bank CEO go first.
So no, this is... Well,
now I really know how you felt, right?
Right, exactly.
It's a difficult situation. It always is. Whenever we deal with housing issues or different pieces, it's difficult because you have both sides of the equation. You understand the need for fairness, and that I agree with, right? Fairness in a process of eviction and everything else, so that the tenant isn't taken advantage of in an eviction notice. But we often think about landlords being large landlords, large corporations, big buildings, having, I hate to say, but multimillionaires. And that's not the case for many of our landlords, especially those within our areas. They're community people that happen to have many are someone who has a 4-family home and lives in one of the units and has 3 units rented. All right, that's their livelihood.
Income, right, it's an income for them.
And the same, or as part of their retirement, has bought a couple of investment properties, smaller investment properties, and are renting those. So I agree wholeheartedly with it for fairness, that there should be a process, that eviction shouldn't go through for willy-nilly, or I just want you out of my unit, or I just want to, but...
The flip side of that coin, Bill, is you haven't paid your rent in 2 years.
Right.
And Ulster Savings Bank and Rondout Savings and the credit unions you're not saying, hey, don't worry about paying your mortgage. You don't have to pay your mortgage because your tenant is not paying you. Pretty much your mortgage, although there was a forgiveness period at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yes.
Right,
yes.
Of sorts. So, but the lending institutions are not saying, hey, don't worry about paying, even though your tenant's not paying you, you don't have to pay me. That typically is not happening. Right.
We work with them when we can, but
you're a small.
We're able to work with them as we can and go through the pieces.
But the nationals probably could give 2 hoots or a holler about whether your tenant's paying or not.
Right.
You need to pay your rent. The other thing I would say about this is it's interesting that government is going to get involved in these, private sector issues. Although rent control has been happening down in New York City for a long time. But I'm curious how the government can now come in to a contract that I have with my landlord and alter that. I'm not sure how the government does that.
Whenever you take something that deters the free market and a market value, you always have to take that into account. So rent control, when it first went into play, was again supposed to be temporary.
Right?
So temporary changes to protect things with the eviction notice and all, are often needed. Right? The pandemic happened; it all happened at one time, and having eviction moratorium and different pieces made a lot of sense. The problem is getting out of them. It's once you put them in place, you can't just
They never sunset.
End it because it becomes a disaster if you just end it.
Right.
And they don't sunset. So the rent control one, when it first went into place in the city, if you looked at it, was good. What happened after that was no rental properties were being built.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So the demand for rental just continued to go up. The market rent for what was available at market rent continued to rise tremendously because there was no additional stock being built.
Right.
And if you look at all the stock that was built during that time, it was all high end. No one was building middle market, normal housing pieces because it wasn't economically feasible to do it.
Yeah.
So you disrupt that. As I said, it's a supply demand. If you curb it, who's going to build on that lower end side to fill that need? unless it's supplemented. And now you have to get into grants and supplements and different pieces to build that because it's not economically feasible to do it without that. So there's a balance to it. And I'm not saying, there's no simple fix to complicated problems.
The pandemic blew up the balance.
Right.
The pandemic just blew
it instantly, right? It went, the demand came in,
exactly,
well above any level it had ever been.
Right.
Locally for a long time. And because our economy hadn't recovered for a while and our housing prices hadn't recovered as some of the other areas did, we were way more affordable than almost all of our surrounding communities, of which for anything else. So it not only came up first to what the original level probably should have been, and then it went above that, to go forward. So it seems like, that's one of the reasons we're listed as one of the hottest markets in the country.
But all of this, Bill and Richard, been around for a while, is cyclical, right? I mean, and again, the pandemic has thrown that cycle maybe out of kilter, so to speak, but is it a year? Is it 2 years? Is it 3? What's the cycle of?
I'm going to tell, but I was expecting this to happen for a while.
Right.
Okay, and I predicted it, and we talked about it earlier, following the demographics. You mentioned the
we
millennials were starting to age.
Right.
It was, and all of them wanted to live in the city and be into the city, and because it's cool in your 20s and it's cool when you're single, and it might even be cool as a young couple.
Yeah.
It starts to become less cool with kids. It does. When that little apartment you had now has a stroller and a playpen and a crib and all the other stuff that you need when you have kids, it gets a little crowded. So what I saw, because I saw it with my oldest, who was kind of the front of the millennials, that he was starting to want to replicate what he had as a kid with his kids. So he was starting to look to come out
rural,
and go back into the suburbs and do the things. And I was looking at that going, this is going to happen at some point, right? There's going to be that migration back to the suburbs, just as it happened with the baby boomers, right? It was the same thing. It was a migration out of the cities that built all the suburbs in the first place. It was going to happen. What happened was the pandemic hit, and it accelerated it, and it accelerated at a pace we had never seen. Because in the past, if you did that, you either had to go to a commuting distance because you still had to commute to your job, or you had to find a new job in the area you were going to work. Telecommuting made that, it went away instantly, right? So they were able to leave and go find places up here and continue working for the same company and potentially continue to do that without having to look for new jobs. That hurt our labor force. That's one of the areas for us. It doesn't explain everybody in the country, because the people that were moving out were maybe working locally. The ones that started coming in weren't not necessarily working locally. And didn't replace the force that was leaving, right? So they're working remotely and coming to peace. So that explains a little bit in the Hudson Valley and some of the areas outside of major cities. It doesn't explain it throughout the entire country. That's not true everywhere, but it's true usually in most of the metropolitan areas.
I really like what you said, Bill, when you said most folks, your boy included, wanted to replicate what they had as a kid, and we're all kind of emotionally trying to get back to a comfort zone. And if you have the wherewithal and you have the resources, that's good for you. And also the schools up here are really terrific. And so if I have a young kid or a couple of babies and they're 5 and 6, I'm really thinking about, do I want to send them to PS 115? Or do I want to have them, in a school up here that has a teacher-student ratio of 15 to 1 as opposed to 27 to 1 in New York City. So I think that's very, very philosophical. I appreciate that.
I think we're in interesting times, and there's opportunity, right? So there's some folks that are going to seize the opportunity to see where these trends are going and say, here's a chance to make a lot of money. Here's a chance to, have a new order in terms of what's happening. So I think these are interesting times, as Confucius said, because it's almost being rewritten as we speak.
Absolutely.
Live. I mean, it's just the whole thing. And the question is, the Nostradamuses of the world are going to try to figure this out a little bit ahead of the curve.
Right. And we have to adapt to it. Right? We have to go through the pieces. And said it creates complicated issues and problems that we have to deal with, particularly in the housing side. I think that there's affordable housing, workforce housing, and then market rate housing, and all of those needs have to be filled, but not one project or one answer is going to fill all of those needs.
Yeah,
right? So we have to work on those, simultaneously, and how we do that.
I also think we can maybe be proactive, right, and instead of reactive, or maybe a combination, proactive and reactive, because again, there's going to be opportunities. Who knows what's going to be happening out in Tech City? We see that that's going to.
We are seeing industry move to the area that we haven't seen move in for years.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
So there's a few businesses, larger businesses, manufacturers that have moved into Tech City. We see some redevelopment happening there. We see a number of people that moved up from the city to have their business in the city.
Right.
Originally moved up first on their own and is now bringing that business up with them and are looking for locations. So if you talk to commercial realtors, they'll tell you, that's a hot market as well, and there's people moving up, which is, good for the economy.
Hot market, however, I had this conversation with one of the local elected officials, and how many jobs is this new business going to bring? Oh, the estimate is 300. Oh, 300 jobs? Oh, great. Where are 300 people?
Where are 300 people? Right.
So unless they're bringing their labor force with them, that's going to be a gigantic issue, because either they're going to steal them from somebody else, creating a vacancy, or try to get them from the outside. Where are they? They want more people move up from the city. Are we paying wages that are strong enough to attract those folks? So we can say I'm happy about Tech City, happy that it's moving forward, but workforce.
Absolutely, and and workforce housing is needed for that.
Workforce
right?
housing is needed.
They're all tied together. They're not independent of
Yeah.
each other. Whenever you do any economic development, it has to include all of those, and that's always the shortfall of people thinking about one part of it and don't think the other part of it. Right?
Yeah.
So it's great to get the businesses up. Where's the workforce coming from? Where are they
the
going to
housing?
live?
Is there school capacity? I
right.
presume there is, although there was a trend on closing schools for a while.
Right.
Yep.
Because the birth rates were not, increasing, and, all of a sudden we have these empty classrooms.
And again, look to our south and look to Westchester and those areas. They did it. They closed a number of schools.
Yeah.
They turned them into condominiums and housing in different pieces. And then suddenly they're all looking at how we're going to put these kids in and starting to rebuild them. So it's, you got to plan well into the future and not short term.
I'm getting a mental hernia thinking about this, quite frankly.
I've seen my daughter and my son and their friends who are all work hard and did what they had to do to get the jobs that they have, and they enjoyed working from home. I'm getting, that they would have, a certain schedule. And now some of Ella's with the DEC, I'll just use that as an example. So she's now being asked to go back into the office, and she's not really that comfortable with it, along with a lot of other people's. It's a bit of a tangent, but I believe the notion of how workers are, what they expect now in terms of how they can produce. Why do I need to be at Ulster Savings Bank, so to speak, if I can get all of the fiduciary reports I need done in my fuzzy bear slippers at home? And so these are factors that we, the three of us at this table, and Lawrence over there behind the magic screen, we never really had that option, for lack of a better word.
No, we didn't. But the technology has come a long way, to be able to do that and the connection with it. So that's what the workforce today is looking for, or at least some flexibility in it. And there's many that don't want to work from home as well. They miss the interaction, they miss the social parts of working in an office. So it's that balance of how do you balance that within the workforce? How do you balance making sure that the work gets done and gets done fairly? I think many I'm talking to are going to some form of a hybrid model where there's a few days in, a few days out, with flexibility, which works well. But there are cases where they can, depending on the job, you can work completely remotely. And if you're able to do that, meaning you're comfortable with that and that fits your lifestyle and you're able to produce and do it, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Leanne, my wife Leanne just changed jobs. She worked for United Healthcare for 7 years and worked at home because, United Healthcare apparently pays rent by the cubicle, and if you don't have a person in a cubicle, they're not paying rent for that cubicle in their space out on Boyce's Lane, I guess. Boyce's Lane? Yeah, out by IBM. So now she works for Caremount and in a pediatric office out in Lake Katrine, right? And occasionally Rhinebeck. But she was happy to go back to to be with people. She worked at home for 7 years.
Right.
In our spare bedroom, which we converted to an office. And by herself, and she used to work in the hospital, used to work in Rhinebeck Pediatrics, and now she's back working for Caremount, and she's happy to be with humans again.
It's pretty basic. It's pretty instinctual. Yeah. I mean, we are social animals. We're gregarious. Right. We don't like isolation.
Right.
So. And there's other again, we can come back to other factors with it. So there's what space do you have? It's very different if you're working from home and you have a 1-bedroom or a studio apartment.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out where am I going to set up this
work living space.
Right, in my living space, and I'm going to set this up and be able to have a active workspace that I have that's functional that I can potentially interact with others from and do different pieces. Maybe there's a window, maybe there's not.
Maybe there's not. You're working in a basement.
Versus someone who has the ability at a level to have a private office almost at home, an extra room or a spare room or a place they've turned into a work area. So, all those factors come into play on why someone may want to do it, may not want to do it.
Right.
If you got to clear your kitchen table every day to set up your workspace and then take it down, it's not as pleasant an experience.
So one of the businesses that I am fascinated by, and this is not a plug, I just don't know how else to explain it, there is, the Senate Garage has a lot of places that you, as a gig person, a gig economy person, could rent the space.
By the hour almost.
By the hour, and you could have business meetings, and you have you have the technology at hand. I think that's a fabulous concept.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to grow and grow, because you said people working from home at some time need places to meet someone, and most likely if they do have to meet with a client or meet with colleagues, they're not necessarily going to do it in their living room or their dining room, right?
For a variety of reasons.
For a whole lot of reasons, both sides, for the protection. So I think that flex space is going to expand.
Is that the technical term, flex space?
I'm not sure what it flex space or it's joint workforce space or different pieces. But they've been around for a while, but even the nature of what is needed is going to change. Most of those were kind of shared office, but you could have an office and space office. You would share a receptionist or share copiers of different pieces. These are going to be there's a flexible meeting room that you can use for an hour or 2 hours, or an office that you can go into, or a conference center where you'd be able to have a couple of people on a Zoom meeting or something.
There's a company on Wall Street that's doing it.
There's one right on Wall Street.
Yeah. Bill Colorado, thank you for coming in. It's been a great half hour. I think we touched on a lot of subjects. We solved a lot of the world's problems, by the way.
Okay.
Last half hour. I think we did. Just let us at it, Thank you for all you do for KCR and for the rest of the community, and Italian Festival coming up in October, Hooli this weekend. And it's going to be a great fall for this area. So thanks for all you do.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And Rotary, too.
It was a pleasure, Bill.
All right, Lawrence, take it away.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget.
Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year. You can help the March of Dimes stop premature birth and bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
We're good. Okay, folks, we're back. This is Thunder Thursday.
No lightning still.
No rain. Yay. And this is Tony Marmo.
And Richard Catabiani.
And we're joined this half hour, as we are the first Thursday of every month, by our tremendous, amazing, fantastic, exuberant, energetic, I'm running out of adjectives.
I love it. I love all the adjectives.
Lisa Berger, who is the director of Ulster County Tourism, and I'm seeing a lot of you. You just were at the Highland Rotary Club not too long ago. Was it last week?
Yes. What a lovely group.
Yeah, it's a great group of people.
Really nice.
You know what we did last night?
What'd you do?
We didn't have a morning meeting, which we usually have a breakfast meeting. Right. We had an evening meeting, and we learned how to make tandoori chicken from Sean Zarafa. He did a cooking demo on Zoom. It was so cool.
Oh, that is great. Do you need a clay pot to do that?
No, but I don't know. You need a lot more stuff than I can put together. All I did was crack a bottle of wine and watched. And I was about
not a bad idea.
3/4 through it, and I'm saying, OMG. So, anyway, it was great. We had about 15 people, about 4 or 5 people cooked along with Sean. He sent the recipe around, and it was so cool. And we recorded it, so we're going to put it up on our YouTube channel apparently. So anyway,
so
that's our quick Rotary story.
So maybe a rib fest and tandoori chicken cook-off.
Yes. But that's a great idea. As a promo to Rib Fest next year, we can do how to cook ribs. All right.
Exactly.
You have a guest.
Yes, it's my pleasure to have with me Jill Amarata from the Rear Center for do the whole title for me, Jill.
It's the Rear Center for Immigrant Culture and History, actually.
It's right here in Kingston. And so she's going to tell us a little bit about this fantastic site and about the kind of experiences people can have when they go there. Good. And then she's going to wrap it up by telling us about a great event that they've got.
Califragilistic.
So Jill, tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me today and inviting me into the studio. I'm so excited to be here. Actually, I grew up in Dutchess County, New York, and I currently live in New York City.
Where in Dutchess County did you grow up?
I grew up in Hopewell Junction. And I'm a graduate of John Jay High School, 1995.
Oh, Lord, love a duck.
Huguenots sitting here, so
and you have someone who grew up in Fishkill.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Graduated from John Jay in what we called Hopeless Jungles.
I know, Hopeless Junction, right?
No, Hopeless Jungles. Hopeless Jungles.
Oh, so we are.
But I didn't graduate in 95. I graduated in 94.
1894.
So Oh, yeah, love Hopewell.
Oh, wow, that's
love,
wonderful.
Love Fishkill. And now you live in NYC.
I do. I live in Manhattan with my husband and my 2 daughters,
Nice.
one of which is here today in studio.
Hi, Eloise.
You know what? We're going to move this chair so people can see you on YouTube.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah. You can say, hi, everybody. Here I am.
She's so excited to be here. She wanted to see the studio.
Your background is?
My background is in history, and I was a social studies teacher at Mamaroneck High School for 20 years before I decided to switch careers. And I'm currently enrolled in a museum studies program through CUNY and the New York Historical Society. Which is what led me to the Rear Center. Dr. Sarah Litvin, our director at the Rear Center.
Amazing.
Yes, she is wonderful. She did a lecture for my class, and immediately following the lecture, I contacted her and asked her if she needed some help at the Rear Center. And I'm lucky and fortunate enough to have a home up here in Accord, and we spent 7 months last year during the pandemic.
Oh, up here.
Yeah.
Up in this neck of the woods.
Yep,
Great,
in this
great,
neck of the
great, great.
woods.
You know, Sarah is amazing, and she's done amazing things since she's been part of the Rear Center.
Yes, she has. She's wonderful.
I think, right?
Yeah, I get a couple of years.
In 2017, she became the director.
Yeah. Well, 2020 really didn't happen, did it?
I know.
It didn't happen.
Yeah, everything was on pause during that year.
So true.
Richard is very contemplative and always on top of his game. I'm sure he's got a good question.
Well, I am impressed with Sarah Littman. We had her as a guest speaker for the Rotary Club of Kingston, and she was really quite amazing. And then I went down with some folks to take a look at the Stitch in Time exhibit. It's really quite remarkable, and we're very, very much behind the Rear Center. Barbara Blass, Barbara Cohen, these names should ring a bell.
They do.
And Howie, of course. So we are committed to the center.
That's wonderful.
I mean, it really is. We make sure that every time we have some fundraising money, we give it to the center because it's
wonderful.
very important work. Because
It
guess
is.
what? We're all immigrants.
Absolutely.
Let's just make sure that's clear.
It's so true. And the way they tell that story, I think, is what's so important, right? You know, and how you bring that out. That's central to the mission of what you guys are doing. Right?
Absolutely. And I think our mission is just that, is to tell this universal story of immigration, community, work, and bread. And the goal eventually for the Rear Center is to create a functioning kitchen in the oven room behind the historic 1916 oven that we have that you could come and see on the tour. To have those community conversations and to bring students in and adult programming to break bread and have community conversations that are important to not only Kingston, but to New York State and, of course, the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to throw in the Ulster County Italian American Foundation as partners as well, because we do a lot of work with Sarah, and so, yeah, we're happy to be involved as well.
Absolutely. And Sarah talked about the Italian connection and how important it is. And, you know, my husband actually is comes from a family of Sicilian immigrants. So this is a story.
A lot of vowels in your name.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I don't think there's Emiratas in Hopewell.
Well, actually, they originated from Dobbs Ferry and then from Naples, Italy, of course.
Nice.
So there is, you know, this is a story that is very true and dear to our family as well.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
$60 a year, family membership, Ulster County Italian American Foundation. Join.
Okay.
Bring the little ones.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
I'd always promote, right?
Yes, you do. So tell us a little bit about like the tours, what people can experience if they come to visit.
Yeah, absolutely. So starting this past July, the Rear Center opened for historic bakery tours, and the tours are designed to be engaging and participatory. We don't want anyone to be lectured at or spoken to, and we really encourage people to tell their stories so there is this common thread and common conversation about immigration, community work, and bread. The tour begins outside on the steps of the Rear Center, where visitors are introduced to the Rear family, starting, of course, with the patriarch, Mr. Frank Rear, who migrated to the United States from Krakow, Poland, which at the time was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And he came to this country and moved to the Lower East Side of Manhattan, where he found people that were very similar to him. And within a decade of moving to this country, he decided to move to Kingston, New York with his wife, Rachel, and their 3 daughters. And sadly, within within a year of Frank arriving in Kingston, his wife Rachel passed away. So now we have this widower with 3 young daughters under the age of 10 years old, and he quickly found himself a wife. And Ada Adushevsky, who was like Frank, she was a Jewish immigrant from Russia. The two of them married and went on to have 6 children.
Holy.
So
Wow. So that's 9, huh?
Yeah, and they all lived and worked at the Rear Center. So you have 10 members of the Rear family living in a second floor apartment that's only 2 bedrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been up there. It's mind-boggling how they would do that.
Right, right, and then work right below, right?
Exactly.
Think about how hot it was probably.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
right?
We actually, in the oven room, which is part of the tour, we have an oral history. Sarah Litvin and others have collected over the years oral histories of people who knew the Rears. And some of those oral histories are used on the tour. And one of them is from John Humphreys, who is a Rear family nephew who lived on the Lower East Side and would come up to Kingston in the summers and spoke about how hot it was in that oven room.
But in the winter, that would be good, right? In the summertime, not so much.
And today, when you're in the oven room, ironically, it's the coolest space in the whole building because it's been shut down for so long, and obviously the ovens aren't
Temperature-wise,
fired
not
up.
like from a cool standpoint.
Well, it is kind of cool too. It is pretty cool to be in this space.
Okay.
It is kind of cool. You know, because what's nice about what they've done there, Tony, is you can actually kind of feel like you're in it, right? It, and it's not all roped off and cordoned off either. So it's almost like you stepped into that moment in time when you're in that room.
It's amazing.
It really delivers that experience.
By the way, today I'm referred to as Anthony, so any future references have to be.
It's because he hasn't done his homework and he's in trouble.
Richard, he never does his homework.
I know.
I wing it.
It would constantly be marks off for lateness.
Right. Too much jabbering.
Well, I really appreciate Jill's historic background because we're here in the studio and you can't see the light in her eye when, Jill starts talking about what she's up to. And I think that you use the word engaging. And I think that's really important because as school teachers, we know that you can't be the sage on the stage anymore.
No, you can't.
You really have to be active learning and engaging. And the fact that someone had the good idea to actually interview people and have those people tell their stories, one story at a time, brings it into a real personal narrative. But within that personal narrative is the story of the country.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really quite remarkable.
Especially at a time right now where I feel like the country is so divided. This is a place where people from all different walks of life can come together and experience the same story. Like Lisa pointed out, we're a nation of immigrants. We all come from somewhere else, and we all eat bread, right? I mean, whether it's pita bread or focaccia bread or whatever, challah bread, whatever kind of bread, that's something that is a common theme that can be discussed no matter where you're from.
Exactly. And, breaking bread is a great metaphor. We all know of, as well, Lisa, having gone to New Paltz High School, you were talking about
Moriello.
I know that very well.
You're Italian.
I forgot what I was going to say. Can you imagine that? No. It was just that it's really important to have people respect and honor where they're from, and that happens a lot in the new museum. For example, Bard has a great curatorial program. I know CUNY's amazing too. I'm aware of it. But it's really nice to hear that people are starting to look at history as a living thing, as opposed to something that you read in the textbook.
Absolutely.
2 paragraphs later, World War II is over. Oh, okay.
Sure.
Right.
So these kinds of engaging activities are really important, and I think that you and Sarah are really going to be instrumental in making this happen. And it's a gift to be able to to do this, if you asked me.
And I also think places like the Rear Center and the tour guides almost act as a bridge, linking the past to the present and seeing that, history is we're making history right now, and themes that we see in the early 19th century, in the early 20th century are similar today, just with a whole new group of people
Absolutely.
coming in.
Right, and new maybe language and terms, but it's the same experience
Absolutely.
in many ways.
Yeah.
So we're here with Jill Amorata and Lisa Berger. Jill with the Rear Center, Lisa as the director of Ulster County Tourism. And this is the Rear Center can be a draw, Lisa, right, for this area? I mean, in terms of folks coming in?
We definitely see it and as central to telling an important story about Ulster County.
Yeah.
We're really lucky that we have some magnificent historical and cultural sites here. Everything from the Senate House, which is central to the story of the founding of New York State and its government,
right,
and even to the country, right? Because some important figures have passed through here or led here, as well as historic Huguenot Street,
right,
which speaks always to Ulster County's,
right,
fervence for independence,
right,
and to be free. And then the Rare Center, which echoes
Immigrant wave,
which echoes those themes over and over and over again, tells it through the experience of a particular place and family. But we definitely see this as something that will be drawing visitors. The pandemic really was difficult for our historic sites. It was hard for people to go places and to experience things in them. But coming out of this, these stories I feel like are more central to everybody. We've all been through something that eventually is going to be part of history, right?
Absolutely.
And so this is even more important.
Jill, tell us what's coming up, because we have about 10 minutes. Believe it or not, this goes really fast.
Sure. Well, we mentioned earlier about the Stitched Together exhibition at Kingston, at the Rear Center, which was a project where 3 high schools culminated together to tell the story of 9 women who worked at the F. Jacobson shirt factory around 1918. So one group of students researched the women by looking through old documents and old newspaper clippings to try and figure out who they were. And then that was given to another group of students who then created historical fiction based on the research about stories of these 9 women. And then those 2 combined were given to the Ulster County BOCES program for, what is the program for? I forgot. Ulster County BOCES in their sewing program, their fabric program, and merchandising programs, design, yes. They then created actual textiles, clothing, shirts, based on what women would be wearing in 1918. And that is currently up in our gallery. You could see the clothes that the students made in the windows, and in the outdoor gallery is where the exhibition actually is. And on Monday, September 13th at 5:30 at Old Savannah Restaurant, we are hosting a short film created by Paula Mitchell, showing the making.
Well, in fact, I think our Italian group is meeting that night there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, how lucky.
How lucky are we?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you want to purchase tickets, you can on rearcenter.org. Right. And if you can't make it and you want to watch the film virtually, there's directions on our website how to do that as well. So we would love to have as many people as possible coming out to watch that film and enjoy a lovely buffet dinner in the tent outside at Old Savannah.
And Old Savannah is located down on the Strand, right? Everyone knows that, kind of on the water, and it's a great place. David Amato, owner, great guy. So, yeah, that's going to be a great night.
Yeah, we can't wait for it. It's going to be so
exciting. I really
exciting.
like the development of how, I didn't know that's how the project evolved, where you had groups of high school students. Each one of them has an expertise, and they own it. Yes. Therefore, confidence grows, especially in this difficult time.
Sure.
And then that is passed to another group, and they own it, and then a product is made.
Exactly.
That is really active learning, if ever there was any. So Good for you.
It was nice to see the collaboration, and it was both private and public schools. It was Kingston Catholic who was
great.
involved, and Rhinebeck High School.
Oh, that's great.
And then, of course, the Ulster County BOCES
students.
Yeah, so 3 very different kinds of groups of students working on a similar project.
And the metaphor of stitched together really works for the immigrant experience as well, because we're all sort of a great quilt, aren't we?
Yes,
we all have our little squares, and what joins us together is the common stitching.
Squarer than others, though.
Some of us are Anthony, I might add. Some of us are could use a little round around the edges, but...
Joe, can you tell folks when the Rear Center is open?
Sure. Yes, I can. So there's
your website too.
Yeah, of course. So Rear Center has 2 tours a week, one on Saturday at 1 p.m. and one on Sunday at 2 p.m.
Okay.
And there's also an option for an open house. If visitors don't want to go for the full tour, they can pop in for $5 admission. And the open house is on Saturday at 2, and then it's again on Sunday at 3 p.m. And the tours will last throughout the fall. Probably culminating at the end of November, and then we'll be open up again for tours in March. And I also want to note that in March, a new show is opening called Sewing in Kingston, and this is going to be a year-long exhibition that'll be in our galleries above the retail shop and the oven room. And I also want to just kind of plug a little bit that the Rear Center is the only museum in the Hudson Valley that is dedicated to telling the stories of immigrants. And when you arrive for the tours, as Lisa pointed out earlier, you are literally stepping back in time, and the retail shop and bakery is set to Sunday mornings in 1959.
That's great.
Which is so cool, because here you have a Jewish bakery that is now selling their rolls to a Christian community,
Right.
because 3 of the churches in the Roundout parishioners would come down to Rear's Bakery after a long Sunday morning mass, hungry
Bumpies?
for the bumps, the smooths, or the other kinds of rolls.
Yeah.
So I will just say, our Rotary Club, actually, when Sarah came, they were pretty excited, and Bill Duffman, Irish, Eric Hotelling, Dutch, and Ken Pearson, English, when they were growing up in Kingston, they didn't go to synagogue, they went to the churches, but they got their Sunday morning rolls from the Rear Bakery.
The Sunday list.
It is, as in all neighborhoods, a fixed foot. It's an anchor in a community.
Right.
And it continues to be that way because of the work you're doing.
And the other thing that I love that Sarah talks about, right, is the importance of the stoop, right? So it was hot in there, and the women came out and they sat outside on the stoop, and you see all kinds of people passing by there, right? And you get to know your neighbors that way. No matter how different they are from you, you see them every day, they come past you. Hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, look at your little child. And the next thing you know, you realize you have way more in common than you have as differences. And I really love that as part of the story of Rear.
Yeah, and the Rears were a family that were open arms. They had the Jewish community bring their communal crock pots there on Friday night to be heated for the Sabbath stew, because Orthodox Jews cannot use electricity when the sun goes down on Friday night. So not only did they open up their bakery to the Jewish community, but you do have the Italian community, the Polish community, the German community, and you can find our Tony's showing me that I have to announce the website. So for the Stitch Together event on September 13th, and for all information regarding the tours, you can visit rearcenter.org.
Rear.
Rear is spelled REHER.
Right.
Center, CENTER.org.
She passes the spelling test.
Yes, no, because I for a long time didn't exactly know how to spell rear.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
It sounds.
The way it's pronounced.
It could be.
Right,
That's
right.
our great English language, or
right,
whatever
right.
it is we're talking
Right,
about.
right.
We're coming down to last couple of minutes, so.
All I can say is that I'm very impressed with the work that
Thank you.
have done and are doing. And so here's always a tough question. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to see the Rear
For the
That
Rear
was a
Center.
trick question.
No, it's honest. It's honest.
Yeah.
I mean, because it seems to me that you have definitely not going anywhere. You're going to be here. You're going to stick around.
Yeah.
So what are the programs that you'd like to see and all of that?
Well, I would really like to see the apartment on the second floor opened. I would love to see that kitchen in the back behind the oven being built and seeing people converge there to actually make bread and have conversations. I think the second floor apartment, I actually was able to go up there for the first time last week, and I was floored. I mean, I couldn't believe my eyes. Some of the clothes that Mr. Hyman Rear, the last of the Rear siblings, are still in the closet.
Oh, wow.
And the artifacts that are up there, I mean, the oven looks like a 1950 oven. It looks like time was frozen.
Yeah.
So I think
linoleum floors.
Oh, yeah. I took a picture of those linoleum floors. It reminded me of like the 1970s when I grew up in hopeless jungles.
She got it right, Tony.
Got it right.
But I hope to see the Rear Center giving walking tours of the Roundout and connecting with local schools and just being a place where people can come together and talk about these common stories of, I keep coming back to the mission, but it's so vital to our Center of Immigration Community Work and Bread.
Folks can donate, all right, by going on the website.
Absolutely, yeah.
All this
We're
stuff
trying to build our
happens-
bathrooms. We're opening up a new exhibition. We want to see the second and third floor open.
Right.
So any donation in any amount would certainly be welcomed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great.
A lot of great plans. I mean, there's some grants available. There's some state grants. There's various and sundry, but there's
Sarah and
no-
I are actually currently working on a curriculum for 2nd and 8th grade students, specifically because the curriculum ties into immigration, and it's being funded by a grant.
Beautiful.
So we're so lucky that we're getting, the support.
501c3, tax deductible, according
exactly.
to whatever your personal situation is. Lisa Berger, thank you for bringing in Jill. Such a great subject. Rear is like a diamond for this
you.
area.
It is.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a beautiful place and a beautiful message
Thank you.
and very current today in terms of all, as you pointed out earlier, all the strife going on, the racial strife, and so this is a place where people come together, and
Exactly.
it's happened over the years. So it's not like an experiment. We know it can happen. We know it
Absolutely,
can work.
yeah.
So good for you, and say hi to Sarah.
I certainly will. I will be seeing her later this
Yes, that's
evening.
great.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having
Be
me.
kind, be
Appreciate
safe
it.
out there, and go do a random act of kindness for someone. Could be in back of you in a line, or just hold the door. Don't beep the horn. Don't flip the middle finger at anybody. Just be kind. Just be kind and help people out.
Indeed,
Richard, thank you.
indeed. Thank you very
for
much,
coming out.
Eloise. Nice to meet you. Are you getting
Eloise.
ready for school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good week.
Okay,
Thank
be
you,
well.
Anthony.
Lawrence, take it away.